Okay. It's working. Still going to take a second.
By the way, I love that red caftan you were working on.
Oh, thanks. Okay, we are live.
All right.
And there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of A Branch of Laurels. My name is Ashaxi. I am a member of the Order of the Laurel from Kingdom of Antir. And with me tonight is Viscountess Mai Arza. I'm going to butcher it. Azara.
Azara. I
can't say it either.
Azarionos.
That, also a member of the Order of the Laurel from Abacal. So welcome.
Thank you.
So we usually start these by asking what your origin story is. How did you find the SCA, and where did you start, where and when?
Got it. Well, as a kid, in my early teens, I was really into fantasy books and fairies and princesses and knights in shining armor and all that kind of stuff. And as I grew older, I met this girl named Brianna from our area, and we were playing D&D together with a bunch of our friends. And one day she just said, I was really into it, and I'm like, I want to dress up, I want to do all these things, I want to nerd right out on this. And instead of going the LARP way, she said, oh, why don't you come with me to an SEA event? And so that was kind of it. I spent I don't know, a horrible amount of hours making a really awful first outfit. It wasn't acetate. My second one was full of zippers and it was amazing. But my mom helped me, and I had this like sack dress with a little green, super faux suede, but not faux suede. It was like, if I got too near a fire, it was over. Yeah, exactly. And I was so proud of myself. And I went to this event, and man, it was Dragon Slayer in Montengard. And wow, were people ever welcoming and lovely to me, and just getting to see sort of the whole panoply of rapier fighting and heavy fighting. And then at the time, there's lots of hand kissing, which I wasn't sure about. And, my ladies and stuff like that, and I just thought, well, I don't really get it, but I think I like it. So so that was sort of it. And I started, and I was super fringy. I would say probably for about 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Awesome. And then during those early years, who were your mentors? Who kind of took you by the hand? And
in the beginning, it was Thorwolf. So I became a member of his household, and that was great. They were very welcoming, but also they had meetings at their house, which happened to be a block and a half from my house, which was handy as heck.
Yeah.
So getting that community, meeting people, I think I got really lucky because Thorwolf and Shanae at the time had been in for a while, and they kind of knew how to play a little better, what have you. So I got the opportunity to learn fairly quickly that maybe not zippers, but also avenues to research and what that means. And there's so much outside, because when I started out as a Celtic persona, because I didn't know, I thought, yeah, sure, Celtic, let's do that. And I, dressed up in whatever. But being exposed to that particular household, I got to know timelines, different time frames, and what does that mean, and from where, and things can be really, really focused or really, really broad depending on where they were. So I was really lucky there. So I would say my mentor definitely at the time was probably Thorwolf and Shanae. Billy and I, Don William and I kind of started at the same time, and we were in the same household. So, and apparently we had known each other in high school. I did not know that.
He's a master of the Order of Defense now, right?
He is. And a Pelican.
Wow.
He's awesome. He's just all around awesome. but we were in the same household, so that was really great. So I got to meet some of my founding friends at that time through them. So it was pretty awesome.
Very
Yeah.
cool. So just kind of the fantasy aspect of it is what drew you in.
Yeah, and then boys.
And then boys. Oh,
Yep.
and did you meet your spouse in PSPA?
I did, in fact. So how old was I when I joined? I think I was 24 when I joined. And man, I dated up a storm, not gonna lie. And then, then I met Mike, or Master Michael O'Byrne, I think in the October of the first year that I started. And we were dating by the April of the next year, and then I've sort of been with him since. So yeah, pretty awesome.
When you started, Avical was, of course, still a part of Ontier, and
yes,
you used to come down to Ontier a lot.
Yeah.
How long from when you started to when you realized that you wanted to kind of pursue arts and maybe think about doing the Laurel thing?
Oh, big chunks of time between that. So
well, you were princess first, right?
Oh yeah, that was a huge, well, not an accident, but totally not planned. So I've been sort of artsy my whole entire life, which is great. And I made my own clothes badly and tried to make things, which was great. But then Ludviga came up to Avical, and she taught a lampworking class. And she taught it to Gemma and Inga at that time. And Gemma used to live here in the Montengard area.
I was supposed to come up with her to teach.
I know.
And I had some passport foo.
Oh.
So I missed out on that plane ticket money and all of the fun of being an Avical. So,
blue words.
That was a missed opportunity. But anyway, Ludviga came up and taught lampworking.
She taught lampworking. I totally didn't take the class. But I had gone out to BC with my husband to a rock and lapidary show, and there was a woman there doing it, and she let me sit down and try it, and I was hooked. Awesome. So we had a play date. Gemma set up a play date at her house, and she sort of taught me a little bit sort of how to get started and that kind of stuff. And it just went from there. My little autistic brain just said, I'm gonna hyper focus on this. Like, yes. It got so bad. I mean, I worked in the basement with my lamp working and, like cement floor and on a rolling chair. And I would lamp work for 8 hours straight and wouldn't, think of time. And my husband would come downstairs and grab the back of the chair and sort of zing me across. Like, turn off the torch. Okay, that's enough.
It's time for you to eat.
Yes, you need to go to sleep. It's 3 a.m. So, and you work tomorrow. Just putting that out there. So yeah, that was awesome. Some of the stepping stones or maybe some of the hurdles to my artwork was I accidentally became princess. Mike and I had gotten married on May 28th, 2005. And the very next weekend, some guy I barely knew was like, hey, a couple weeks before, can I fight for you in the principality? I'm not going to enter though, so you don't have to worry about it. I really want to go kingdom, but I just need to sort of have an inspiration on the book so people don't bug me. And I was like, sure, yeah, sounds good, whatever. What's his name? Einar. Okay, didn't really know much about him. Mutual friend introduced us. Cool. My husband and I, so we got married in the week, and then we thought, oh, Coronet's just like an hour away from our house. Why don't we just go and day trip? Awesome. So we do that, and I'm in sort of the grubbiest wear I've got, and the king, Skeggy, for which I'm not sure if I've forgiven him, but we'll see. Still, 15 years later, had decreed that all the knights were going to fight in lists. All of them. And that included Einar, pardon me. So, okay, I didn't think anything of it. He's like, okay, look, we're going to enter the lists. I'm not going to go really hard. We're just going to play around for a little bit. We'll probably be out in like 4 or 5. Cool. I was still relatively fringy at the time, so I didn't really understand what that meant. And I didn't know what kind of fighter Einar was. So whatever, had some drinks, was hanging out with my friends. I was so beautiful. It was raining, and I was wearing a garbage bag over my garb. I mean, I was super fly. And I was paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. I was drinking, to be honest. I mean, it's honesty hour. And talking to a friend. And then, so my friend is taking my cup away from me, and I was still talking. And she took whatever else was in my hand, and I was still talking. And then she puts her hands up. So I put my hands up, and she took the bag over my head. And I was like, what's happening? It's still raining. I need that. And she's like, well, so Einer's in the semis. So you might want to pay attention. And I'm like, oh, okay. Semis, that's pretty good, right? And she's like, yeah, kind of. It's kind of a thing. And you know, he won the semis, and he went to the finals, and that's when it started kicking in. I was like, what is this? What is happening? Why is no, I can't handle another life-changing event. I just had one literally 7 days ago. No. And then he won. So that happened. So inspirations, if someone ever says to you, hey, just need an inspiration, whatever, we probably won't win, you can't believe that. You can't go in and think, oh yeah, it'll be fine. You won't win. You don't know. It could happen. It happened to me. Yeah. So
you got a crash course in the underbelly of the SCA.
Man, did I ever. I went from super fringy to like all in. And I mean, it was one of the best experiences I've had in the SCA. I met you and Ludviga during that time at the 12th night. I think it was Uther and Sven. Uther stepping down, Sven stepping up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, it was an accident and wasn't planned. I got to meet some of my artistic idols, being you and Ludviga, and you guys were so just like, I couldn't even believe it. As welcoming as people are, you especially were so warm and welcoming, and I could be really easy with you. And I personally have a hard time with that. So I immediately was drawn to you. And Ludviga scares the hell out of me. But I love her, and she was so gregarious and so out there, and she's like, I had just sort of started lamp working. I didn't know what I was doing, and she's like, I want you as an apprentice, but I think I'm gonna let Shoxy have you. And I was like, okay, awesome, good, because this is great, because she's a force. But I was like, you know what, Shoxy, yeah, I would love that. So then I got to meet you, which was great. Then I got to meet a lot of people in Ontario, and that sort of started me down the road of my artistic path. I saw everything that you guys were doing, sort of compared, and it was sort of outside the bounds of what was happening in Avocal. Avocal is very Western European centered, not, and that kind of stuff. And that doesn't always necessarily interest me. But when I met you, and I met Atthias, and I met Ludviga, and I met all kinds of people who were doing different out-of-the-box stuff, and I saw it being done well, that's when I thought, okay, yeah, I could get into that. That could be kind of cool.
And when you stepped up as princess, were you then Ifatio? Is that what your name was?
Ifatiev, yes.
Ifatiev, yes. Sorry,
I was.
Better than that. And can you describe what persona that was, and how you came around to having that persona?
Sure. Well, I had started out in the SCA as Iona was my name, and I was some sort of Western European generic flavored, starting out persona. And then I was at a party, and somebody said to me, oh, well, there were no Black people in medieval Europe. And I was like, oh, I don't think that's true. So I I'm not a researcher. I mean, I am now, but at the time I didn't really know what to research, but I got my hands on a bunch of books because I'm like, I'm pretty damn sure, pardon my language, that is not true.
Yes.
And I was right. So Ifataif actually is Amazi, which people from the outside world would call Berber, from the Atlas Mountains. And she was a gold trader. So she would trade gold from Mali and the Kingdom of Ghana up through Spain into Europe. That was her. That was my persona. And so I had an African persona for about 10 years or so. And, you know, I loved her. They're just, because of the time frame that I had picked for her, there were no real written records. It was before Islam there. So trying to research it, well, sort of right at the cusp of the internet age, and when you were able to get stuff, it was pretty hard. So I built my persona around her the best I could. And, you know, I loved her. I loved being different. I loved not being Western European, but with the ties there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I loved the costuming that you did with that too. It was and the jewelry and everything. I was very drawn to that. I thought that was really just beautiful and beautifully.
I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. I also saw, it was interesting. So that a lot of the jewelry that I had found that is modern to that area now, but also in period, stuff hasn't changed very much. It was really interesting. The large fibula that they have and still wear and had really sort of mirror Roman, because there was Roman occupation. That's sort of where they got some of that stuff from. Yeah. So it was really kind of neat. I got to learn a little bit more. I got really drawn to ancient or pre-SCA at the time frame because of that. Yeah, so it was cool. It was awesome, but you know what? Not a lot of clothing choices.
No.
There's a lot of black.
Yeah.
Some red. And yeah. Jewelry though, the jewelry is off the cuff. But
super sweet. Yeah.
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 But
so
learning about the university at Timbuktu, which was really neat. I still have that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Very cool. And then at some point you transitioned out of that and changed your name.
I did. So I would say just before I reigned for the third time as Princess Anavikal, or just after I had started, I just fell in love with what you and Atthias were doing with your Scythian gear, as well as my thing in lampworking, which is my hard art output for my laurel, was Warring States beads. I don't know if you can see that.
Do you want me to hit the slideshow?
Nah, it's okay. So it was stuff like this, and these were created in the Warring States era of China, only for 150 years, pardon me. At around, now I'm going to forget my dates, but around 150 BCE. Somebody's going to check that and say I'm wrong, and they're probably right. It was recent BCE,
right.
And I loved doing those. So my love of doing that, being an African persona, I sort of felt sort of a split. But when I started to learn a little bit more about Scythian culture, and the fact that Scythian culture was right beside China, and sort of I really dig nomadic personas, and they were nomadic. I thought, oh, this would be a great transition to me to finally get my name passed and find people who are already sort of doing it, which is great, but also more readily available research, especially since Scythian research in the last 10, 15 years in Western culture has become more popular. So we're seeing more English articles and articles we can get our hands on, that kind of stuff. So that really drew me in, the artwork, the history, everything. Yeah.
And so here you are.
And here I am. Yeah. I moonlight every once in a while in Norse garb, but I'm a Scythian girl at heart. Yeah.
Awesome. What was I going to ask next? So we kind of glossed over the fact, we kind of briefly touched on it, but you asked me to take you on as an apprentice. How far into your SCA career do you think that was?
It was six years into my SCA career, but I would say probably 2 years into serious play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird to ask you questions about our relationship, but I'm going to. So I live in the Portland, Oregon area, and you live in
Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Treaty 7.
Yes, very far north.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a long distance relationship, and we had to negotiate that going in.
Yeah.
And part of you came down because Abaca was still part of the Kingdom of Ontario. You would come down for Kingdom events and Crown, and I made sure I was at those so that we could have time together. And then I made a commitment to you to come up and visit you as well.
And you did, which was awesome.
And we emailed a lot because it was before Facebook.
Just before Facebook. Yeah. Yep.
So and I think we even had a phone call or two. Not a lot. But so that was a challenge.
It was.
Yeah.
But you know, it worked out for me personally. I mean, I am not a fan of being micromanaged. And so I always felt comfortable doing my own thing. And then if I got stuck or, I'm like, yeah, I'm sort of spinning my wheels here, calling you up or sending you a message saying, hey, I'm spinning my wheels here, or look at me, I did something cool. Look at me.
Go.
So I loved it, but also, I was actively inspiring at the time. So I was down in your area like
a lot,
3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
At that time. Yeah. So I got to like physically see you quite a bit as far as I was concerned. So that was pretty awesome.
And I got beads. I still have, can you see that?
Yeah.
I still have, and it's actually probably more one of your more modern beads.
Yeah, it totally is.
Central bead. Yeah, it's a modern bead, but I love it. And it's my favorite color. So I tell people that it's not one of your period beads.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries.
I wear it. I mean, this is my medallion and I wear it. It's always with me.
Oh.
So let's take a look at, I'm going to try screen sharing. See if this works. Yay. So here are some close-up shots of some of your beads if you want to tell us what they are.
Yes. So the first one was a Warring States bead. These ones are melon beads. Woo! This one's another Warring States bead.
All right. I'll hear. Tell me when you're ready to go on, and I'll do the next one. Sorry.
Well, if you want to go back to the first one.
Okay. I can do that. Maybe.
Okay, let's not worry about that one. Let's go. Okay, here we go. So these are melon beads. Okay.
No.
Those were melon. Okay, here we go. This is a Warring States bead. This is my jam. You can stay.
Okay. Let me just say next when you're ready to go to the next one.
Okay.
I think I have a handle on it now.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. So for me, my thing with making beads was teeny tiny, intricate, design on beads. So this bead that we're seeing here that looks huge was actually, where am I here? I don't know if you can see that. It's actually smaller than this one. And it has two layers of the large beads, and then 2 layers in the small, and then 3 layers in the middle. And that's that's teeny tiny. And I love doing that kind of stuff. That's what really drew me. I do make like Norse beads, and I made Phoenician beads and beads from the Levant. But this level of insanity really, really drew me, and that's why I really like those kind of beads. Okay, next slide.
Okay.
These are melon beads, which you can find pretty much anywhere. If you are looking at bead histories, you'll find beads like this specifically in Egypt, in the Levant area, specifically with this many lobes. So that sort of deep cut in, we're looking at the Levant area. But in bead history, you're going to find melon beads pretty much anywhere. For myself, because I'm a giant nerd, I really like doing things that are difficult. So each one of these lobes, you see, like there's a line on each bead. I use a surgical tool, a surgical knife, and I make 3 cuts. So there can be 30, 40, 50 cuts on one small bead. And I don't have one here. This one's bigger than the ones in the picture, but this one's about almost twice the size of the ones in the picture. So I make it teeny tiny because I have a problem.
You're very precise.
I'm very precise, very precise. And one of the things I used to get sort of called out on a lot was being precise on my beads, and people saying, that looks like a machine-made bead. It doesn't look very authentic. It doesn't look very period.
Because you're too perfect.
Because, well, I mean, like, they're not perfect. I've yet to make a perfect bead, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I let that get to me for a little bit, and then I just started showing people, okay, well, now that the internet's more, here's a picture of a perfect Warring States bead. That's what I'm recreating. Here's a picture of a perfect melon bead. That's what I'm creating, right? Because I'm a giant snub when it comes to my beads and how I do them.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. So, but, and obviously some of these colors are not super period, like the lime, not the lime, but there's like a limey colored one in the back. The pink ones actually are period. You can find pink beads like that in Egypt, but we're talking way back in the Wayback Machine. And I hate doing them. So the pink defrits and it's awful. But the actual bead itself, it is very therapeutic. Making all those tiny little cuts with a 1200 degree flame right in front of your face. Oh, it's awesome. It's great.
All right.
Okay. Next bead.
Okay.
I don't have one like that here.
There we go.
So this is not my best example of a stratified eye, which is a layered eye bead. Not the best one I've made, but it's decent.
It's still gorgeous.
It's okay. So we've got a lot of stratified means layered. So each one of those rings is a layer of glass that I've put down marbered. Like a bead like this will take me, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes to make. It takes forever. And this is a bead that you see a lot in the Warring States area or time frame in China. So I loved making these. I made a whole bunch of these. I have one somewhere, I think it's downstairs, where it's got like, they see the white dots on the sides. I have 2 lines of those dots there. Wow. And that bead itself is, about this big. I don't know if you guys can see that. So cool. They're small. I have a hard time doing them now because I have arthritis in my hands and my hands shake. So I can't even do this. So maybe next slide.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm talking too much.
No,
I get
you're
rambling
fine.
when I'm talking about beads.
Oh,
okay.
I love these.
I made these for, I want to say Erin, but it's not how you pronounce it. It's Erin Deerslayer. I think when she got squired, and this was my first attempt at dragonfly beads. Dragonfly being the prunts on the end actually come out. And I'm pleased with these. any artist, you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, could have made that better. But they were my first attempt. She had commissioned them, and they turned out actually pretty well. I was actually pretty pleased with them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They are, for me, difficult to make. For other people, I'm sure not so much, but
they're hard because the little towers get kind of melty, and they're hard to get all uniform.
They are, exactly. And also, if they don't get melty, they're too stiff. Like you have your bead and you're going back and forth in the flame and you're trying to keep the heat sort of even, but not super melty. Plus, with white in particular, you can get a lot of impurities coming through your flame. So you don't want it to be in the flame very much. So there's a lot of, try to getting it to work. So yeah. So and getting out of my comfort zone. Obviously, my comfort zone are the flowers in the middle, but having the fronts actually come out was a lot of fun. And I haven't made very many since because a lot of swear words went into these, but I'm proud of them. And she says she was happy with them, so I'm pleased with that. Oh, this one. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. So, her gray stag mare. I don't forget if she asked me for this or if somebody asked me to create a gift for her or something.
I think somebody asked you to create a gift for her.
Yes.
Somebody being maybe your Laurel.
Maybe my Laurel did. And
and I think that we wanted to show off that you could make your own canes. Is that? Yes.
And I can make things other than this stupid dotty little Warring State beads. Yes. Yeah, I think that was that because I might have been fixated at the time.
Yes.
So I think you asked me and you had said, hey, can you make something that is sort of Turkish inspired? So that also got me out of my research safety spot. And I was looking at later period. Sorry. Sort of Persian Turkish beads. I was of course looking at the agate beads that they did. You find a lot. So they tend to be creams and browns and a lot of sort of mixtures and wavies. And I hadn't quite gotten the hang of that, but I did see raked beads in my research. So I was super excited. I made these brick red raked beads with this mustard yellow. And they were a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But these black beads in the middle, the cane that you see, the Millefiore, I created myself. So, and I didn't bring one upstairs with me because I'm a dummy. But they are, I start with a center piece of glass. So usually the center color, let's say it's probably blue in most of these, teal blue. And then I melt clear glass around it. In this case, it was teal, clear teal. And then we'll go with the red and yellow one. I would layer glass on the outside of that. So it'd be sort of like this, but of course it's this big. And I would layer yellow and red glass on the outside in sort of a star shape. And then my glob of glass would get to be about that big. And then you have to put 2 fronts into it. For me, I use pieces of clear glass. And you have to melt it properly, make sure it doesn't twist on you, and then pull it at a measured pace. Yes, and no, like it's kind of fast and then slower and then more slow to get sort of an even cane. It sounds dumb when I'm trying to explain it verbally. If you can YouTube it. Lots of people show videos of it. Anyway, so I made my own cane. I made 2 different kinds, the blue and white and red and yellow, and I cut them up into little pieces. And then when I'm making the bead, I put a white background down first, and then I warmed up the Millefiore and I put it on there and I melted it in. And then I think I used some bronze and some turquoise there just to finish it up. And she told me that she liked it.
She loves it. She loves this piece. So good job.
Thank you. I was really pleased with this piece, and I went right back. Oh, here we go. So these are Twisty Canes. Same idea that I was talking about with a Millefiore, but instead you twist it as you're pulling it, and you also have to make sure you're twisting it at the right consistency, and you have to vary your speed to make sure that you're getting an even rod and that kind of stuff. So those are a lot of fun. Those usually involve a lot of swear words too when I'm making those. Oh, and then this piece, this is, first of all, the centerpiece was made by Vic Vikingson, one of his beautiful pieces. This is one of a piece that was made for Vandy, or what her SE name?
Elfka.
Elficafu, right.
Yes.
Right.
Facebook has ruined us.
Yeah, we made this one for Elficafu. And it includes some of the Millefiori I made. I cheat a lot, and there are some modern beads in here, a lot of beads from the Levant. At the time, I was really fighting against making Norse beads in particular.
She doesn't have a Norse persona. Her persona is, yeah, I'm blanking on it. It's not Norse.
No. Although this one was to be Norse. Like she said, I want a festooned wear with Norse stuff.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
okay. Sorry.
So I cheated on that one, but yeah, man, this is like the way back machine.
Well, I just kind of stalked your antlered tiger and just pulled a bunch of stuff. So
yeah.
And these are all strung on
waxed. It's not waxed linen. It's waxed cord. It's a technique that you taught me, actually. It's waxed cord, basically, that you use for leather working. 4 strands, not 2, Chris. 4 strands. Man, and so we thread those through. The reason for that is that the wax strands last a lot longer than metal strands or regular beading wire. And then my awesome Laurel showed me how to weave up the ends, and that was one of your one of the many artistic gifts that you gave to me was how to string them and then how to weave them up again. And then that's actually sort of become my trademark, is not my beads in particular, but how I sort of weave them up at the ends. And that's all a Shoxy, people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you taught me that. It's great.
And I learned that from my mom, because she was a beater, but she was also really heavy into macrame.
Yeah.
And that's a basic macrame stitch. So not to give your secret away, because I'm not going to say which stitch, but
yeah.
So anyway.
But it's awesome. I mean, like, they last forever.
Yeah.
Which is great. Here is my foray into etched beads. Oh my God, do I love making these things. So this is bullseye glass, which is a little bit lower. You can't use it with Moretti. It's got a lower COE, coefficient of expansion. But personally, I find bullseye glass mirrors period glass a little bit better.
Yeah, I love bullseye.
Yeah.
Plus they're local to me, so.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's expensive, but worth it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the first or second piece I made with the etched bullseye, and I still love it. I still make that kind of stuff today.
It looks like candy. I just want to chew on it.
Right? Particularly the green. The green looks like Skittles. So I was like, I'm not sure about that. But I have a yellow one here, actually. I'll show you later, that I just love. So this is my insanity. This is what I used to do for fun before my hands got really shaky. Don't forget that bead is probably, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch wide, maybe, if that. And we've got several layers on here. These are period beads. You find them a lot in Phoenician bead finds. They're an eye bead. Almost all of them are. And you can find eye bead or eye decoration all the way back, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. People were using that particular decoration. They use it now.
Yeah.
When I learned about it, it was to ward off the evil eye. Yep. Or ward off, from other people. I think that's still what it's used for today.
Yeah.
It's the same things. Yeah. This is a little early work. It's not my best, but you got to start somewhere. So getting a dot placement for 5 and 6 around a center dot, I have a hard time with. So there we go. This was a gift to, Facebook, you killed me.
Somebody.
Oh God, Queen Muskegee. Beautiful dark hair.
Tasya.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Tasya. So I made these for Ogadai to give to Tasya for his knighting ceremony.
Awesome.
Yes.
And he was your prince twice, correct?
No, he was my prince for the
Once.
last time. Once.
The last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. This is all Crazy Town.
Same.
Same. These were donations to Largesse. Yeah. This was the laureling necklace for my awesome apprentice sister. Oh my God, Beth.
Helga.
Helga. I'm so sorry. Facebook is the devil. Anyway, poor Helga. I was honored to be asked to make the necklacey thing for it. So I went crazy and did all the stuff for it. A cut bead on the side, an eye bead. I did a lotus melon bead, gold, clear wrap gold bead, like crazy, because I love that girl. She's amazing. Helga, I love you.
She says it's getting dusty in here.
Oh. So yeah, I back in the day I gave a lot of stuff away. Oh, and then I made a thing for my Laurel. I found out that my Laurel was, oh my God, was getting the belated rose, right? Yes.
Yep.
Was getting the belated rose. And they said, okay, well, we had different stuff. Does somebody want to make something? And I said, I do. I will make it. And I made you a little mirror pouch. And this is the first, I've done applique before, but this is my first major project that I ever did. It's the birds and the stitches that I used were based off of a Chinese origin
Patrick. It's
yeah.
Saddle blanket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's silk on silk embroidery in the extant piece.
Yes.
So this is one of my. I've been really lucky. I've gotten some really wonderful regalia, and this is one of my very favorite things. And I actually have it hanging up in my bathroom with all my jewelry, and I look at it every day. So I think of you every day.
Awesome.
And
I'm sorry.
Not the best picture, but those are little tiny chain stitches.
Yes. So inside the birds is one strand of silk chain stitched to fill. I love you. just so you know.
Somebody's asking what a belated rose is. I'm going to probably butcher it a little bit, but a belated rose is given by the Ladies of the Rose. It's an award that, or recognition for service to Ladies of the Rose and for, being a good example in the SCA.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. I hate to say it. I've been out of Ontario for so long. Yes. That is pretty much it. There's somebody who shows exemplary dedication and welcoming, and it's kind of also a pillar of what people would like to be, and a great example. Yeah.
It made me cry.
Yeah. Well, it's so very well deserved. Very well deserved. It was amazing. Yeah.
Who's that?
That's me looking like a dork. So That was the day. There we go. Perfect. That was the first one was on my laureling day. Yeah. So that big dark cloud behind us, we had gotten, oh God, what a day. We had gotten the worst hailstorm ever. In the middle of the afternoon, it was coming down in sheets and just obscene. Everything was flooded. It was completely totaled. People's tents were totaled. It was a nightmare.
I wore a hoodie to your laurel.
You did. So I know one of the questions was, did you have a vigil? The answer was kind of. I got put on vigil in the morning when it was sunshiny out, and then I went and had a ham sandwich and a nap, And that's when the storm happened. And then the king came to my tent. He's like, hey, so we're going to do your lauraling ceremony now before people leave. So I was like, oh, okay. So
let's make this happen.
20 minutes later, hey, yeah, we're happening. It's happening. Okay. But yeah, that was a heck of a day. So at this particular picture, I had already been laurel. Then I got my hat, which I love, my lauraling hat. Thank you. From Ashaxi.
Pac-Man laurel leaves.
They are laurel leaves. They may be little Pac-Mans, but
I love that.
Yes. So that was just after my lauraling, and as we were lauraling Natalia, and whose new name is something else.
I think she's back to Natalia.
Okay.
Yeah. And so here's a picture of you in garb that you mostly made.
Yes. So the coat was actually made by Tamiris. And she gave that to me because I am super lucky. Thank you. But the shirt and the skirt I made myself. Those are both first iterations. I cringe a little bit now, but yeah, I did. And those necklaces that I should be wearing, but I can't find right now. Yes, those are my necklaces.
So what is when you got laureled? You were also given a really beautiful medallion.
I was.
Tell me about that.
One of my best friends made it for me. So this medallion was made, it's shiny, by Ogadai Bahadur, who is one of my dearest friends.
I'm going to take the share off so that we can see bigger.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
There we go. So I don't know if you can see, in the middle is my tiger, which is my heraldry, and then laurel leaves in silver with carnelian, which is my favorite stone, and then little tigers at the top here, which I broke the little loopy on it, so I need to get it fixed. But this he made for me, and I'm not a crier. I don't tend to cry, but at my ceremony, he comes up, and there's a great picture on my Facebook page. He is soaked, like just drenched, and he's standing there, and he's trying to give words to the crown about the medallion, and he gets one sentence in and is like, "No, here's the medallion.
Just take this thing. I can't."
That's it. It's over. But I mean, I gotta tell you, I was so moved that he made this for me himself, all himself, taught himself how to make this kind of stuff. I got sort of one of his prototypes. These are cast. This I think is repoussé. I'm not sure how that works out. This was cut out.
Yeah. He's got a progress. Well, he was sending me progress photos as he was doing it, and I
think he does have a progress folder on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I love it. It is so beautiful. I honestly had one of the, even though we had the most horrendous storm, I had probably, for me, the best lauraling ceremony I could have asked for. My laurel came up, which is exciting, but I mean, like, that's a Frillian Miles. My husband came out. He doesn't usually play, but he was there. So my family was there. My family, so all my friends that are really close were there, and it was beautiful. I loved it. It was great.
Yay.
Yeah.
So you're a laurel now.
Yeah.
And been a laurel for about 6 years.
6 years. Yeah.
Is it different than you thought it was going to be?
I want to say yes, but no. it's I got lucky or unlucky or something. I had been to about 17 laurels meetings before I ever became a laurel, just by being princess 3 times and running laurels councils here and then being at the ones in Kingdom. So I had a pretty good idea of what being a laurel was like, could be like, before I got elevated. So I want to say there was not a lot of surprises coming in. It is cool being part of the process, and it's cool not just seeing snapshots that you do as royalty, but being able to sort of see how the group is growing, both the laurel group, the internal group, as well as, pardon me, the arts and sciences group, in the kingdom or our kingdom in general. So that's pretty cool.
And so you were an Ontarian laurel for
A year.
a year.
Yeah.
And now you're an Abacal laurel.
Yes. So technically still an Ontario laurel, but an Abacal laurel, yeah.
Is there a difference?
There is. So beforehand, the Ontario Laurels Council is gigantic. And people sometimes from outlying areas have a hard time getting shown or being talked about or whatever at the time. So I've been out of it for a while at the time, simply because they live so far away, what have you. But now that Avacal's its own thing, much smaller, our council is smaller, but we also all sort of know people generally who are doing the arts and sciences. So most of us can speak to candidates or people who are just working up or are talented artisans or whatever's happening. We know these people, or we can easily get to know these people, which is awesome. It's awesome.
It allows you to foster people more readily.
Exactly. Yeah, and be more present with help when we can. Right now, obviously, it's a little hard. And I would say it's also a little hard because you get a bunch of artists, and artists sometimes generally can be pretty reclusive. So as a group, we have been trying to get out there a little bit more and be a little bit more visible and active and approachable, which, you know, we had some success and some not. We're working on it. We're growing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Are you having a lot of artists do like share progress albums and teach classes online and that kind of thing?
We do now.
Awesome.
We do now for sure. Yeah, especially with the advent of COVID, that has really opened it up to people specifically doing YouTube videos on classes and what have you, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that if I were to give one piece of advice to anyone that's aspiring to a laurel in the time of COVID, is to just, it can be as simple as taking a picture of your work and making a progress photo album.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a great time to be seen, you know, and it's a great time to take advantage of all the technology that we have and are focusing on. So.
Exactly. And don't be afraid. I mean, some people are out there me all the time, which is okay. Don't be afraid to take up some space.
Yeah.
If you see, you know, we do have a couple of people who post a lot, which is awesome. That's great. But we want to see everybody doing that. If you think, oh, well, this one or two people, they post a lot, so I'm not going to post my stuff. No, get in there. Take up some space. Look at my stuff.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm awesome. Look what I'm doing. This is great. You know, I'm learning. Woo, look what I just messed up. I'm going to try this again or whatever. That's what I mean, like, that's what any laurel, I would think, would want to see. Yeah, my advice is show us your mistakes.
Yeah.
We love that. Yeah. Show us, you're like, ooh, this did not work out for me, but this is what I'm going to do next time. Oh, we love that.
Yeah.
Yes. More.
Showing growth. And, you know, laurels don't make perfect stuff. Both Mai and I started pottery after we were laurel, and I've made some crap stuff.
Ooh.
And
me too.
And given them as gifts, and I'm sorry. But yeah, it's that 1,000 hours of practice thing. You don't get good at something until you practice and you make all the mistakes. So don't be afraid to publicly make mistakes.
Exactly. Like, I've got some beads here from when I first started that are kind of gross. They're a lot gross. I made a lot of these beads. I just happened to find these ones. And, you know, I eventually got my laurel for not making these, but, you know, you got to start somewhere. And it's okay not to be fully formed. Yeah. And it's okay to say, I tried this thing, I hated it, I'm not doing it again. I'm going to try something else. Awesome. Yes. Do enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not supposed to be work. It's supposed to be passion.
Yep. Yay. Agreed. So do you think that there is a way that, okay, I'm not going to ask that question. I was going to ask about showcasing performing arts, and that has nothing to do with you. So
Okay.
that's why I'm not going to ask it. What skill would you like to learn still? What is your next step in your journey?
To learn pottery. That's me being facetious. I mean, I'm doing pottery, but I'm not good at it. What would I like to learn? There's a lot of stuff that I would really like to get better at. When I first became a Laurel, I approached Laura Lynn about her applique, and I didn't stick with it because I've got the attention span of a gnat. But applique, getting better at applique is something that I would like to do. Definitely getting better at pottery, I'd like to do. What else? I think being able to, okay, so full disclosure, for any of the 3 or 4 people who are watching this, I did not write a piece of documentation to get my Laurel, ever. I wrote documentation actually several years afterwards. And so how did that work? It's because I learned a lot of stuff and said it verbally or shared it online or what have you. But I would like to learn how to express myself better in the written word. And it's really hard for me. I mean, I'm autistic, I've got ADHD, I really sort of struggle with that kind of communication. But then I see other people, especially when I go to Ontier in the Kingdom Arts and Sciences, and I see all these amazing things, and then their amazing documentation, and I was like, dang, I don't know how I ever made it as a Laurel. Like what were they even thinking? I don't even know.
Well, so I think that one of the really important things for us to be looking at as a Laurel Council in all the different kingdoms, sorry, is how to enable neurodivergent people to be able to show their documentation, to be able to show their work in a way that is accessible for them, that still demonstrates their knowledge. And I don't think, I mean, yes, we have people who can write term papers and not even term papers, research papers that are just amazing and have all of the beautiful words, and that's their gift. And that's not everybody's gift, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Exactly.
So I think it's important to stress that. And I love that you want to learn how to write better. and
get there, but
I don't think that it has to be a path that everybody takes.
No. Yeah. And it is a path that can be walked on. I mean, I did it. And I know there's other Laurels out there too that have never written documentation, but have shown their level of knowledge. I mean, like, the research is still there, right? So I know I did a heck of a lot of research and was able badly, usually, to verbalize it. But what I found, I think, that maybe helped me in the last 2 years before I became a Laurel was finding things online, like an article, pulling it onto my page, and then writing, I've read this thing, this is what I think, blah, 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 blah. I'm seeing, a similarity between this and this article, or I'm seeing a dissimilarity between this and this, so that doesn't make any sense or whatever. So I think that helped me. So it wasn't writing documentation, but it was letting the people who were watching know that, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm doing the work. Yes, I've got questions, like, it's coming. It's just I can't write a paper. That is not my jam. That is just a skill I've never had.
Yeah, and that was what we used when we presented you in council. Is you were doing research and finding articles that I'd never seen, and you were surpassing me in the depth of your knowledge in certain areas, and you were also synthesizing the costuming knowledge and coming up with your own theories and opposing me, which is awesome.
I do have a bit of a challenging personality. That is true.
but you know, we don't know how these garments were worn, really. We don't have pictures, we don't have any written, you know, diagram of, you know, is the tunic tucked in? Is it worn outside the skirt? We don't know. And I love that you were like, I'm gonna tuck mine in because that's what I think it is. And I'm like, yes, that's, you know, it's synthesizing the knowledge and it's coming up with your own theories and being able to talk about why. And you rock that. You totally rock that. So
it is possible. It is possible if you're looking to do that. It takes longer though. So, but that's okay. That's okay too. It's not a race.
How long were you apprenticed?
9 years.
I was thinking 8 or 9.
But I mean, like I was the person holding me back, honestly. So
yeah, there was an ebb and flow to your enthusiasm, and I think that's normal. I think everybody has that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a breakneck pace to really dedicate yourself to walk that walk, and it's not something that you can sustain 24/7 for years on end. It's
exactly
just hard.
It's too much. Yeah, for sure. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was really an honor to be able to walk it with you.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask how technology has made playing in the SCA different for you, but that was what you just talked about was a really good demonstration of that.
Yeah.
It was a good tool.
It really was a good tool, and it came in right at the right time. Facebook, for all its flaws, really helped me. Yeah, get across that sort of communication.
So I have some philosophical peerage questions. What do you think the Order of the Laurel does collectively well as an order?
So known worldwide, or an Avocal, or
however you want to couch it.
I would say, and there are a lot of people who have sort of misconceptions about the Laurels Council in Avocal in particular. First of all, we're not a cabal. Trying to get us to agree on something is a nightmare. It's either really, really good or really, really bad. And anything else we do not agree on ever. Like there's a million different things. But what I'm proud of in our council in particular is the fact that we took, okay, so this is not a diss on Ontier. I love you guys for sure. But there were some internal things that were a bit of a struggle when we became our own kingdom. And those of us who were Ontier Laurels, who became Avocal Laurels, said, hey, you know, we would like to not continue some of these things. And we didn't. And even though conversations can get heated and what have you, we have a really equitable council. I know there's people out there right now that were like, whatever, we do. We really and, you know, we try to hear all sides. And, you know, we have requirements for peerage as every peerage does. And we've been trying in the last couple of years to make them known so there's less question around, well, you know, I make stuff. Why aren't I a Laurel? Or why isn't this person a Laurel? Or why isn't that person? So we're trying to get out there. Hey, maybe we're not getting you the information and we need to know that. Or B, here's actually what we're after, which may not be what's happening. So as fractious as we can get in Avocal, I think if I've sat in a lot of Laurels councils, the Avocal Laurels actually are weirdly cohesive. And can be weirdly cohesive when they want to. Ontier, wow. The room full of master artists. You know, the year that I got to be there as one of you guys was terrifying. You know, why am I here? I'm an imposter. I'm here with all the legends and people I deeply respect. I mean, Ontier, I got to tell you, has, you know, apart from Avocal, has the best artists in the known world. Unbelievable. and flabbergasted, especially traveling and seeing other arts and sciences, what have you. I was like, I don't want to brag or nothing, but I was made a Laurel and Ontario, so you should know that.
Well, I think it took me probably 6 years before I got past that imposter syndrome feeling and felt like I was worthy of being a Laurel. And I still have my moments where I'm like, oh my God, that's so bad. But I've gotten more comfortable. I'm actually able to call myself an artist now, which I think has only happened in the last maybe 4 years.
Yeah.
And I've been a Laurel for 16 years.
Yeah.
Right. So there you go.
Yeah.
We're all just people that have all the same insecurities that everybody else does.
Yeah, absolutely. I still consider myself a baby Laurel, and I've been there for 6 years. I'm just starting. I don't really.
Yeah. Let's see. If you could influence one thing within your kingdom, what would it be and why? And you can pass on any question.
Well, you know what? Funny you should ask. Because it wasn't just me, but there has been an upswing in addressing racism and DEI issues in our kingdom. And that is something that I've been thinking on for a long time. And just within this last week, it's just sort of taken off. And I'm really excited and happy about that. And I think we're going to see, I think there's going to be a lot of personal growth, uncomfortableness, but growth as well as, people who are part of minority groups in our kingdom having a more equitable voice and feeling safer to have that voice. So that honestly, had this not happened within the week or so that this has happened, that would have been my answer as well. I wish that people who are in marginalized or minimal groups in the SCA had a better voice, were taken more seriously, all those kind of things. And we've already started seeing that happen. So honestly, my personal dream that I've had for a long time is sort of coming true right now. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it's going to be a painful process.
It really is. And it's going to take some time too, being somebody who's, I'm half Black, I'm very light-skinned Black woman, neurodivergent, part of some of those minority groups, not having a voice for a long time, being a woman also, there's some issues there. Not having your voice, not having a voice that's equal or equitable. So it's gonna take some time.
Yeah. It's
gonna make some people uncomfortable, especially if they start getting into self-introspection and that kind of stuff. So, but you know what? It's cool. It's cool. It's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to learn new stuff. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay.
Yeah. As
long as you keep moving and keep going forward and keep trying, that's all we need. That's all I need. That's all I should keep doing. I gotta learn. I gotta get over some of my own stuff. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anybody else is perfect. We all gotta get there, right? And just be active about it.
Absolutely. I am on board with that 150 billion%.
Get off my soapbox here, but
and I also would offer myself up as a resource to anybody who, I'm not perfect. I don't know all the things. I'm still learning too. But if anybody needs a safe space to process things around racism in the SCA and things about, I misstepped and I don't know what to do and everybody's yelling at me and I'm overwhelmed, private message me. I'm happy to have those conversations.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ashoxi's awesome.
Yay.
Take her up on it.
Mai's awesome. So What accomplishment are you most proud of in the SCA?
You know, you sent me that question. I've been thinking about it. And it's like, oh, you know what? I don't know. I feel the most pride when I can help people personally in the SCA. I mean, for some God unknown reason, people come to me for advice or for help, and it blows my mind because I'm the queen of tough love. Like, and I know it. I mean, like, I can be really hard, and I don't pull any punches, and I sure don't let you sort of hide behind yourself and be like, oh, that hurt me. It's like, yeah, cool, girl. But there have been times that when I'm able to help people either with their path, and this path doesn't actually have to be the laurel path. I've helped and coached people who are on the chivalry path, on the Pels path, or whatever. And when they can look at me and say, you know what, that makes sense. That actually helped me a little bit. Thanks. That's when I feel the most proud, and I guess that's most proud of myself. So that's pretty self-centered. I don't know. It's so dumb. This is awful. This is super arrogant, but I love seeing people who were afraid of something try something. So it's not pride for me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm proud of my friends who I know, who I maybe had conversations with, where they're like, God, I don't want to do this. This scares me so much. This is not my thing. This is not me. But they go and do it anyway, and I'm just like, yes, yes. Whether I have had any, whether I've had any part of it or not, I get proud of my friends who are pushing themselves and doing stuff that's different or whatever. I'm like, yes, get out there. So for myself, proud, I don't know. I didn't light the principality on fire. That's not bad. I mean, it's close.
Not today.
It wasn't close a couple of times, but it was still there after I was done. So that, I didn't completely suck at that. I don't know.
That's good. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have apprentices now?
I do have one apprentice, Maggie of Aberdeen. And it's funny, I don't apprentice people for the artwork that I do. I help out people who are interested in that kind of stuff. Maggie is my apprentice, and she is currently wearing the belt that you made me for my apprenticeship.
Oh, yay!
She's my first apprentice. And she is, I want to say, into tutor English kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I cannot help her at all with that. But what she does do, and I'm sorry, Maggie, if this makes you a little uncomfortable, I love you, baby, but she also struggles a little bit with writing out her research and what she's doing. And I think that's one of the reasons she approached me to be my apprentice, because I had said, I have a hard time processing from here to this. And she said, I have a hard time with that. And I would like to be with a Laurel who gets that and can help me sort of get my message out there in a way that I feel comfortable, that I can understand, and that people can see how much I know. So she was my first, and we love her. And then I have two students right now, Cassandra and Tommaso, who is an MOD. Yeah, and honestly, I know I'm a Laurel in arts and sciences. I still feel I'm still at my 6 year, that's bogus. I'm not really sure about that stage, but I have been a peer for 15 years, a royal peer for 15 years. So I take people on who would like help with research, because I can help with the basics, right? How to get there, which to look for, all that kind of stuff, but also how to be what being a peer is like, and what kind of work do I need to do to sort of get there? Which, again, of the 2 to 3 people who are watching this are probably like, oh my God, Chris, you are giving people advice on that? No way! But I can actually pull it out if I have to. It's more of a do as I say, not as I do thing. But but I mean, like when I was reigning or whatever, as a royal peer, I took that very seriously. It's a job that I love, but you have responsibilities, and as a laurel, it's awesome. I love it, but it's also a responsibility. You can't just sort of become a laurel and be like, cool, I make a cool thing. I know how to do research. I'm gonna take off now. You can't. You have to lead. Yeah. So in my mind, when you are raised or recognized in any of the peerages, including royal,
absolutely,
your job is to lead, period. And it may make you uncomfortable. It may put you in a situation where you're like, oh, like me, I'm a super introvert. Talking to people is so hard for me. It's terrifying. I usually have to drink a lot to do it. Truth time, just no lies. But I get out there and I do it because that's my job. That's my responsibility. That's the responsibility that the crown put on me, both as a royal peer and as a laurel, is to lead. And sometimes you got to take a break, you got to rest, but then you have to get back at it. So that's sort of how I feel about that.
What inspires you to keep going?
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes the only thing that keeps me going are the friends that I have in the game. Sometimes, things get shitty.
Yeah.
Sorry for the language.
Okay.
And the only thing that interests me, and sometimes it can happen for months, is keeping in contact with my friends who have become my family. That's it. And I'll talk to them, but then I see them getting interested about their things, and oh man, I just made this cool thing, or I just learned this cool thing, or I'm trying this thing, or I'm taking this office, and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, cool, yeah, okay, yeah, no, now, yeah, okay, now I want to play the game and I want to do the things, and what just happened? Like, sort of. So I think at this point, I never ever thought I'd be a royal peer, not ever. That was never in the cards for me. So that is just sort of I don't even know what's happening with that. But I tried to be a good royal peer for the 15 years that I was one. Whereas a laurel, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I try to get out there. I try to lead. I make mistakes. Ooh, I got stung a little bit. All right, then I gotta come back, take a rest, and then come back because no one can get me down. Hell no. But I'm sort of right now kind of like an artistic vampire. And I'm looking at other people, and I've got some wonderful friends who are newish to the SCA, and they are super keen on arts and sciences and fighting and all the stuff and cooking. And I'm like, yes, all of that. Okay, yes, I would like to help you. That kind of...
Let me feed off your energy.
I'm going to feed off your energy. But that keeps me going. And that, I think is something that I've lost a little bit, is that, oh, this is so cool and really love this. And it's something that I would like to get back. And so when I see it in other people, I mimic that. Okay, I'm seeing it. I love it. I'm going to mimic it and try not to be creepy. That's my sort of thing.
That's the key.
Yeah,
don't be creepy.
The creep level to a minimum.
I feel the same way though. You and after you and Helga both got apprenticed, I was like, oh, I don't have any students. I have no responsibilities, which, is a lie. But I was like, okay, I'm going to just take a little break and maybe work on stuff for myself. And I just went,
yeah,
because that is really a big part. And it took me several years. I mean, you've been a laurel for 6 years. So it's taken me like 5 years to realize that's a huge part of what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Is teaching and mentoring and lifting other people up. And without that, it's not fun for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we learn as we go along.
Yeah, exactly. And we can learn from anyone. I think that's something that I think almost nobody would struggle with, but maybe some do, is, yeah, so you've become a knight or a laurel or Pell or whatever, that absolutely doesn't mean that you can't learn something from somebody who just started 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Even if it is just vampiring off their energy. But seriously, right? Like, I mean, we're just people, and I would like to say, especially in Laurels, we are all masters of this little thing, and there's so much more out there to learn and do and stuff like that. So
it's a little overwhelming how much there is sometimes.
Yeah, right. Like,
So
when you ask, what do you want to do next? You're like, oh, God, what don't I want to do next?
I'll see it. I was just going to ask you, what goal do you have in the SCA that you haven't achieved yet?
Oh man. Okay, so I have this idea. I have this thing. All right, so I'm gonna swing it past you. Were you ever a Girl Guide?
What?
Did you ever do girl guides or scouts or anything like that?
I did Girl Scouts.
Okay, so did you guys ever have the sash with the badges on it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my idea. All right, so you become a Laurel, and you get your research badge, and then you get a badge for whatever your output happens to be, persona, beads, whatever. Okay, cool. And then, but underneath it, I want like a pottery badge and a costuming badge. And when I achieve what I think is Laurel level in costuming or pottery, which is not going to happen, but like get adjudicated by my peers, and yeah, I think then I can move my pottery badge up into my expertise badge area, right? So maybe it's trying to continue to be worthy of my Laurel, worthy of my Laurel being you, and being worthy of my Laurel being Laurel by the crown. But honestly, in the beginning, I wanted to get my Jean de Leon. That for 6 years in the SEA was my goal. I would like to get a kingdom level award for arts and sciences, right? Yes.
So that's
it.
For people that don't know, that's in Ontario, that's the grant level ANS award.
Yes. Yeah. I wanted to be a ladyship, and that was it. And then fate in the SEA took me different places.
It sure did.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you're here.
Yay.
Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? Any words of wisdom you want to share?
Oh man. I think I've shared all my wisdom. Nothing really. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to show your work. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Get out there. Just give her.
Get at it.
Go hard. Make mistakes.
And when you fall down, get back up.
That's right. They cannot take away your birthday. And if it isn't like imminently death imminent, then it won't kill you. Give her. Just go.
Awesome. I love it. Well, we're at like an hour and a half. So yeah, it goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I guess we could probably shut this down at some point.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm verbose. I talk a lot.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see your face, and thank you for taking a chance, because this is the first time that I've done a Laurel interview, and thank you for being my guinea pig.
Well, thank you for asking me, and I hope it didn't suck.
It did not. It was awesome.
And honestly, for me, it was getting to spend an hour and a half with my Laurel, who I don't get to see as much anymore. Perfect. Couldn't ask for anything better.
Same. It's wonderful to see you, and I love you.
Yeah, I love you too.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for watching. And we'll see you next week. And I am completely blanking on who I'm interviewing next week.
I don't even know.
That's horrible.
I can't help you.
Yeah, I completely blanked it out. Anyway, we'll see you next week.
Okay. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Oh, I have to shut it down.
Okay.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Good night.